This is the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial endowment expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping our show on March 24th, 2016. And, of course, it's the long weekend, Good Friday, Easter Sunday. A lot of people in Canada, I was talking to the mailman the other day, a lot of people get Monday off, too. I know here at the radio station, Friday and Monday will be taken off. And happy birthday to my sister, who had a birthday yesterday. Our radio show runs on 6:30 CHED in Edmonton, Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. We're taping our show on March 24th at 8:39 in the morning Mountain. If you ever miss a radio show, they're archived on Harold's two websites, HESradio.com and rarecoloreddiamonds.com. We have a podcast through iTunes. Type in The World Financial Report on Radio. You'll find us there. We go on your portable device anywhere you travel. You can listen to us at your convenience. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. 1-800-432-1022. rarecoloreddiamonds.com. 1-800-432-1022. Our featured diamond of the week is an extremely rare, one-of-a-kind worldwide diamond. It is and this is the featured diamond, 1+ carat pear-cut fancy intense green diamond. See it online, featured diamond of the week at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Don't forget, if you'd like to receive our free weekly newsletter, all the material that we talk about is in our newsletter. We send it out via email free of charge every week. You can go through it in minutes, be completely up to date, or spend hours if you want. Speak with Harold about receiving the info, and you'll be on the exact same page that Harold and I are on. Now, speaking of blue diamonds, which we did on the last show, we talked about a blue diamond that was going to be auctioned off for anywhere between $25 and $35 million. Well, in the second half of the show, there's another blue diamond that's coming up for auction. It was originally owned by really one of the biggest stars that Hollywood has ever known, an iconic star. We'll talk about it in the second half of the show. Unfortunately, terrorist attacks, and that's one of the things that we do talk about on our show. It's not about optimism or pessimism, it's about realism, and unfortunately in the world we live in today, the realistic situation is we have to be right every day, and they have to be right just once, and unfortunately they were in Brussels, and our thoughts and prayers go out to those affected in Belgium. And here's hoping that they can heal, similar to what happened in France and San Bernardino. But terrorist attacks, those are something that no one wants to hear about or talk about, but they need to be taken into account. Geopolitical needs to be taken into account in your portfolio, and that's why we say you should have an allocation of hard assets, diamonds, gold, and silver at all times as an insurance policy. In Canada, we had our federal budget, the first for the Liberals under Trudeau, and we have a bail-in provision. We will talk about that in the show. What does that exactly mean? Also, National Bank out of Quebec, they figured out in 2015, in the Vancouver housing market, 1/3 of homes were purchased by Chinese buyers from China. And that info is in our free weekly newsletter. But Harold, we don't like talking about terrorist attacks. It's sad, and we want peace and harmony, and it's the last thing that anybody wants. But in the world we live in today, the fact of the matter is you have to take into account not only what's happening in the world financially, but geopolitically. And there are people out there that do not like our way of life and want to disrupt it. It's just that simple.
You better believe it, Randy. It's very, very sad. And again, our hearts and prayers go out to all those in Brussels. Just a terrible, terrible week. All in all, the markets were not as volatile as you would have thought that they would have been with terrorist attacks going on type of thing. But as I've said on other shows, is that unless it affects the New York markets, unless it affects the stock market and the U.S. economy, those type of situations do not have a big effect on the markets overall. In actual fact, this week you would have thought that with what happened in Brussels, the gold market would have taken off and ran and hit new highs, but it didn't. In actual fact, on Wednesday, the gold market plummeted. It was down over $30, and the market opened up lower again this morning. We're taping the show on Thursday because of Good Friday, but the market hit 1217 this morning, and don't forget earlier in the week the market was up to 1250 to 1260. So again, where a lot of people are bullish on gold right now, we aren't. I still believe that we're going to see $1,000 gold due to the strength of the U.S. dollar. We did see a very strong rally in gold to start the year. Gold went from 1,050 all the way to 1,260, so we saw a $210 move basically in the market in the first 3 months of the year. But now the market is starting to come back down again and again. A lot of it will have to do with what the U.S. dollar is going to do. So as we're taping the show on Thursday, you've got gold trading right now right at around 1218. The silver market plummeted on Wednesday. It actually went down over 60 cents, and today the market got down to 1517. So the silver market has been extremely volatile also. Platinum's down to 959. It wasn't that long ago that platinum was more expensive than gold. And now the opposite is true. Gold is back more expensive than platinum, and palladium is down $8 to $577. We did have palladium all the way up to over $900 at one point. Now, we've been talking a lot about the currency markets. Currency markets are extremely important, and again, they're tied into gold and they're tied into oil. As far as oil goes, we've been very bearish on oil. I feel the crude's going to go back down to $25 and maybe even lower, just based on the fact that there is oil being sold in the Middle East at under $25. And no matter what the speculators are saying, the fact is that if there's oil being sold at $25 or less, that is the actual benchmark price for oil, and oil should actually go down to that price unless something crazy happens in the market. So as we're taping the show on Thursday, the oil market, the crude oil market, is down $1.13 at $38.66. I believe it started the week at around $40 to $42. So again, I do believe that we are going to see oil continue to fall, and the reason for that is a huge glut of oil on the marketplace. Even if they do talk about cutting production, we know that OPEC constantly cheats, and there is such a huge glut of oil on the marketplace that, again, it's going to take a long time till that glut is exhausted. Now, with oil prices going lower, it has the biggest effect, believe it or not, on the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar, which was strengthening when oil strengthened, is now falling substantially. In fact, on Wednesday, the Canadian dollar dropped a penny and a quarter on the day, and today, as we're taping the show on the Thursday, it's down another 80 points. So now the Canadian dollar is trading at 133. So again, as oil continues to go lower, watch for the Canadian dollar to come down. Now, I know a lot of people disagreed with the fact that we felt that the Canadian dollar was going to drop below 70 cents and possibly go as low as 60. We did hit 68 cents on the Canadian dollar. So basically, our prognostication on the market has been accurate and very correct, especially with oil prices dropping. I do believe that we could see $22 to $25 oil before oil starts to take off and run again. And in order for oil to take off and run, we would definitely need to see that supplies in oil start to drop off. And I just don't see that happening over the short term, because we know that with the sanctions lifted against Iran, that Iran is pumping out as much oil as they can. So is Russia, so is Saudi Arabia, at a time when there's a lot of oil on the market. So our recommendations are going to remain the same. We are going to continue to feel that the gold market is going to drop probably to about $1,000. Now, we did feel at one time that gold could have dropped down to $850. However, with everything happening in the world, in Europe and geopolitically and everything, we think that the gold market at $1,000 is a very fair price. So again, we do believe that oil is going to drop, gold is going to fall, the Canadian dollar is going to fall, and the American dollar will be the strongest currency. So we do believe that the American dollar, which is trading at about 96.5 right now, is going to get back up to par. It would already be there if the Fed would have done what they said they were going to do and cut and raise interest rates. But because they didn't do that, you saw a sell-off on the U.S. dollar, and all it did was delayed the inevitable, which is the U.S. dollar was going to break par and eventually go to 108, 110, which is why I'm saying the gold's going to go to 1,000. So, Randy, that's what we see happening in the market at this point. Again, I would be long the U.S. dollar. The Canadian government has admitted that they own no gold whatsoever, and they've taken all the proceeds from selling their gold and put it into the U.S. dollar and the British pound. And that's what I've been telling you to do for the last couple of years now. So, again, most of my clients are invested in U.S. dollar-based investments with us, most of them in private investments, and we're doing tremendously well. If you're not doing well, if you're sitting in the bank making 1%, if your money is sitting in mutual funds and stocks and you're petrified, and you should be because you're going to lose all of your money, there's no way in the world that you're going to make money in the stock markets at this particular point, give us a call. My clients are making more than 25% a year, and again, we've called these markets tremendously accurately. And our clients are invested in U.S. dollar-based investments, and not only making money, but making money in American dollars, and that's extremely important. If you want to learn about what we're doing, again, these are all private investments that are meant for our Canadian clients only, and we're doing tremendously well. Many of my clients are making over 25% a year and making it in U.S. dollars. So, again, if you're not in that situation, you definitely want to get in touch with us. We've been very accurate in our calls on gold and silver, the U.S. dollar, the Canadian dollar, and oil, and I do believe that the trend is the correct trend at this point. So, again, we are going to continue with the same recommendations that gold, the Canadian, and the American and the oil market are all going to continue to fall as the U.S. dollar becomes the strongest currency of all.
Our featured diamond of the week from rarecoloreddiamonds.com is a 1+ carat pear-cut fancy intense green diamond. See it online. This is a museum piece. rarecoloreddiamonds.com, featured diamond of the week, extremely rare, one of a kind. We'll talk more about it in the second half of the show. As promised, we talked earlier about here in Canada, the budget coming down, the first budget for the new Trudeau government. It's official. Canadian bank depositors are now at risk of bail-ins. Now, earlier in the week, Canada's new Liberal government unveiled a stimulus budget meant to revive slumping growth with a surge in infrastructure spending, and said it would run a deficit nearly 3 times larger than promised during last year's election. The government projected a roughly $29.4 billion deficit for fiscal 26-17 and gave no target date for returning to a balanced budget. This budget broke virtually all the pledges the Liberals made before the election, including running just 3 years of deficits of up to $10 billion before balancing the books by fiscal 2019-20. We are seizing the opportunity to invest in people and the economy and to prepare Canada for a brighter future, according to the Liberal Finance Minister Bill Morneau. What he said really is seizing the Bank of Canada money printer, because in order to monetize this surging deficit, the Bank of Canada will soon have to unleash its own quantitative easing in the coming months. As Reuters has, and we have this story in our free weekly newsletter, because the Liberals command a majority in the Canadian Parliament's House of Commons, the budget is guaranteed to pass, which is bad news if you are obviously holding Canadian dollars, which will certainly devalue in the coming months as the market prices in what a massive surge in deficit spending means, although so will all other currencies as the global debasement race accelerates once more in a few short months. But for the bank depositors, because deep inside the budget announcement in the section discussing tax fairness and a strong financial sector, we have officially confirmed that Canada has just become the latest country to treat depositors as the bank creditors they are, and as such, they too will be impaired or bailed in the next time a Canadian bank needs to be rescued. And Harold, we saw that in Cyprus. And what that means, and they're doing this in the European Union as well, if a bank fails, and you have money on deposit in the bank, depending on the amount, there's an arbitrary amount they have as a cutoff. Usually it's over $100,000. They will take money beyond that point. And we saw it in Cyprus, and it's something that potentially can happen in Europe as they've gone to a bailed-in scenario. And here we have in Canada, we've talked about it in the past, this bailed-in scenario is now here in Canada as of our latest budget. So people need to keep that in mind as they do their investing in Canada.
You better believe it. In fact, most people know I'm Canadian. We do a lot of business in Canada, and I've noticed a huge change in the attitude of the Canadian banks lately, that they don't want to release money, that they question clients as to what they're doing, and again make it extremely difficult at times. So again, the banks are getting more and more meddlesome and very, very difficult in order to transact business with them. So they don't care because they're heartless organizations. They don't care about us at all. Any organization that could enact laws that can steal our hard-earned money from us when we're supposedly doing business with them. So we really have to be smart about this and understand that if the banks are not making money off of us, how are the banks making money? Because the way that the banks have always been set up is based on depositors. We go in, we have confidence in a bank, we put our hard-earned money in the bank, and we get interest. Sometimes the interest was 10, 15%. Now the interest is 1%. So the fact is that, you know, the way that the banks have always worked is that they have a good relationship with their depositors, their clients. We put money into that bank because we trust them. They loan out that money and they make a profit, and they pay us part of the profit in the form of interest. But now that's not going to happen anymore. What is going to happen is that if you keep your money in the bank, you're going to have to pay them to keep money in the bank. Who's going to do that? And with their horrific attitudes and their I don't give a damn attitude as to, you know, it's them against us type of thing, and they're going to steal our money, just like they did in Cyprus, just like they did in England, just like they did in other parts of Europe. So if we know that this is going to happen, you've got to be smart about it. What you need to do is just leave enough money in the bank in order to pay your bills every month, and the rest of it, you know, you've got to take out. You can't leave more than what the insurance is on your bank account. And again, Randy is right. It's $100,000, I believe, in Canada, meaning that if you keep $150,000 in your account and that bank closes down, the insurance company has got to pay you back the $100,000 that you're insured for, but the other $50,000 or any amount above that $100,000, you're going to lose. Who's going to take that risk anymore? And how are the banks actually going to make money? I'll tell you how the banks are going to make money. The banks are going to make money on transaction fees. Again, I've been putting together information for a seminar that we intend on doing on the cashless society, and the fact is that that's how the banks are going to make their money. They're not making money loaning money anymore because, again, it really doesn't exist. Most people don't have the credit rating anymore to even borrow money, especially in the United States when things have really been horrible. So, again, at this particular point, do not trust the banks. Do not keep more money in the bank than you need to, and especially don't keep more money in the bank than you're insured for. You need to find other ways. We have other ways. We have a phenomenal situation, again, where our clients are doing tremendously well, and they're doing well in American dollars, which is a double whammy type of thing because, again, not only are the assets that we're investing in going up, but again, they're going up in American dollars, which is paying our clients 30, 40, and soon to be 50% more just on the currency alone. So if you want to learn more about that, give me a call and I'll spend as much time with you as you need in order for you to understand how we're doing business and doing better than the norm.
Connect with Harold, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. Ask him about our featured diamond of the week. This is a museum piece. See it online at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Featured diamond of the week, a 1+ carat pear-cut fancy intense green diamond. Extremely rare, one of a kind. We'll talk more about that in the second half of the show as well. A blue diamond. We talked about a blue diamond going for auction last week. There's another blue diamond that's come up and could possibly go for $25 to $35 million. It did belong to, at one point, an iconic star. a Hollywood star that really was one of the greatest of all time. We'll talk about that in the second half of the show. Now, I wanted to touch base with you about a theory that is really starting to gain traction, and it's quite frightening, really. Ben Bernanke was known as Helicopter Ben, and one of the reasons, and of course he was the former Fed Reserve governor, and one of the things he had mentioned in a speech is if things got really bad, what they would do is take a helicopter, take money, and just spread it. And I know that sounds absolutely insane, but this theory is starting to gain traction. Obviously, they wouldn't do it via helicopter, but you understand the theory behind it. Helicopter money takes flight as latest drastic monetary idea after more than 600 interest rate cuts and $12 trillion of asset purchases failed to move the inflation needle enough. Central banks may need to even go deeper into uncharted territory. The way to get the world out of its deflationary rut could lie in them directly financing government stimulus as a strategy known as deploying helicopter money, after a 1969 proposal from Nobel laureate Milton Friedman. Economists at Citigroup, HSBC, Commerce Bank published reports to investors on the topic in the past 2 weeks, while hedge fund titan Ray Dalio sees potential in the idea. European Central Bank officials are already squabbling about what President Mario Draghi calls a very interesting concept. We don't know for certain that helicopter money will be the next attempted silver bullet. However, the topic is receiving considerably more attention, says Gabriel Stein, an economist at Oxford Economics in London. The likelihood is relatively high in some form of being implemented somewhere. The theory never attempted to, obviously by a major modern economy, is to fuse monetary and fiscal policies, now both running out of room. And they say cash-strapped governments sell short-term debt to their central banks for newly printed money, then that is injected straight into the economy via tax cuts or spending programs. The usual intermediaries like banks are bypassed. The idea is to spur spending and investment directly rather than influence bonds or sentiment. Central banks can be saved from permanently underwriting governments by establishing growth or inflation limits. In a 2002 speech that earned him nickname Helicopter Ben, then Fed Reserve Governor Ben Bernanke said, "Taking to the skies would almost certainly be an effective stimulant to consumption and hence to prices." We have this article in our free weekly newsletter. I encourage you to get it from Herald and read more. It just goes to show the crazy times that we live in. People talking about a cashless society in some different centers around the world. Negative interest rates around the world, obviously in Japan and Sweden and Switzerland. Negative interest rates where you're paying them to have money in the bank. And now, because we're in a situation where they can't get the inflation numbers moving, they're talking about helicopter money. It's an absolutely crazy time, and that's why we advocate having hard assets in your portfolio at all times. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022, 1-800-432-1022. Going to come back and talk about diamonds as the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall, continues right after this. Welcome back to the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial and diamond expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping our show on March 24th, 2016. Our time is 9:04 Mountain. Our radio show runs on 630 CHED in Edmonton, Sunday afternoon at 3. And I should remind you that we're running on Easter Sunday. So happy Easter Sunday, Easter long weekend to you and your family. Hope you enjoy your time together and a nice meal and a relaxing time. Don't forget, we have Herald Show running, if you ever miss it, archived on 2 of Herald's websites, HESradio.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. They're streaming there 24/7. We have a podcast through iTunes. Type in The World Financial Report on Radio. You will find us there. You can subscribe. The shows come in automatically. You can listen to us on your portable device. Anywhere you go, our radio show does. We are there at your convenience. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. 1-800-432-1022. And Harold's website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Our featured diamond of the week is a 1+ carat pear-cut fancy intense green diamond, extremely rare, one of a kind worldwide. You can see it when you see the diamond. You'll understand what we're talking about when it comes to the rarity. It's a big green diamond, and it's pear-cut. It is absolutely gorgeous. Last week, we talked about a rare blue diamond set to smash auction results in Asia, and it's the De Beers Millennium Jewel 4. It's going up for auction at the beginning of April in Asia. It's a 10.10 carat blue diamond. The estimate on it, 30 to 35 million. Now, coming out this week, and this was just an outstanding story because it involved a backstory that I love the backstories on diamonds, rare-colored diamonds. An iconic star. Everyone knows her name. And in her time in Hollywood, she was really just so well known. Shirley Temple. Shirley Temple's blue diamond ring is up for auction, and they think that it could go for around 25 to 35 million. This blue diamond, owned by the bouncy, curly-haired child, could be yours. Sotheby's is auctioning off the 9.54 carat ring. It belonged to Shirley Temple, the movie star turned diplomat who appeared in such films as Bright Eyes and Curly Top. The cushion-cut stone was a gift from her father in 1940, Sotheby's said in a statement. At the time, she was 12, and her movie, The Bluebird, had just premiered. The ring will be auctioned April 19th and is estimated to fetch 25 to 35. Temple started acting at age 3, and her films were massive box office hits in her childhood years. After stepping down from the silver screen, she enjoyed a long career as an ambassador and remained an iconic, obviously, collector of diamonds. And she passed away 2 years ago. This is from her estate. We saw what happened when Liz Taylor, her jewelry went on auction from her estate. They went for astonishing prices. And even here recently, Sean Connery, James Bond, auctioned off a few pink diamonds that he had from many years back, and they went for record prices. So, Harold, we have this diamond from Shirley Temple, 25 to 35 million, and it would not surprise me if it goes for the higher end of the range because it is Shirley Temple, and it's a blue diamond, which is the rarest of the rare.
You better believe it is, Randy. Again, we know what's happening with blue diamonds because we've been following them very closely, obviously, for the last 10 years where the price has gone up substantially. They're so rare and so beautiful. And now, again, we've had the Josephine diamond come out that sold for $4 million a carat. It was only 10 years ago that Vivid Blues were selling in the $200,000 a carat range. So look at what has happened with the price of those diamonds. You know, the more rare the diamond, the more it goes up in value. And again, in the type of world that we're living in today, it's a very important asset to own. But they're not short-term investments; they're longer-term investments. I'm sure Shirley Temple owned this diamond for quite a long time. You know, the fact is, the longer you hold on to them, the more and more they're worth. And in a lot of cases, what happens with diamonds is that if you don't need the money when you sell them, the fact is that they're handed down from generation to generation, and the prices can just take on a life of their own. So, again, that blue diamond is amazing. It's going to be interesting to see what it sells for. But again, judging by what other blue diamonds have sold for in the foreseeable near, in the last little while, we anticipate that it will sell for record prices.
Well, Harold, in the story, it said that her father purchased this diamond for her in 1940. So you're looking at a diamond that is 70-plus years old in her possession and in her estate. And they're obviously deciding now to release it to the public, the people that like to invest in iconic diamonds, and we will have that auction coming up on April 19th. Harold, our featured diamond of the week is just absolutely gorgeous, and I know you wanted to touch on it because it's a 1+ carat pear-cut fancy intense green diamond, extremely rare, one of a kind worldwide. When you see video of it, you understand immediately why this is the rarest of the rare. I love green diamonds. The pear cut is absolutely gorgeous. This is a big chunky diamond, and it's so rare. Something like this is really something that you would normally see in a museum.
You bet it is, Randy. The fact is that green diamonds, most people don't know that green diamonds even exist, but they do. Green diamonds are extremely rare, and they turn green because of uranium in the ground. So boron turns a diamond blue, and it's important to know that a green diamond, which most of them are found in Central and South America, they are so rare, and again, uranium has to seep into the ground in order for that diamond to turn green. And it could be worth fortunes, because most people have never seen a green diamond, nor do they even realize that green diamonds exist. But our clients do, because again, we've been mining green diamonds over the past few years. So we are involved very heavily in the mining of colored diamonds, not only in the sale and the cutting and polishing of the diamonds, but again, one of our biggest businesses is the mining of diamonds. And the thing about green diamonds, they are different than most other diamonds in the sense that when you take them to be graded by GIA, it's a different process. GIA wants to see the diamond while it's still in its rough state. So all of our green diamonds are submitted to GIA prior to almost anything. So once their GIA has the initial look of the diamond, then facets are going to start to be cut, then you want to take it back to GIA again, because the last thing in the world you want when you're cutting a green diamond is for GIA not to be in the loop, number one, and number two, for it to come back as undeterminable. So again, there's a 3 or 4 part series, basically, that goes along with cutting and polishing a green diamond. They're extremely rare. They're amongst the most beautiful diamonds in the world, and they are also very, very valuable. In fact, most people have never seen a green diamond, but you've also got to understand that a vivid green diamond is probably more rare than almost any diamond in existence today. They could easily sell in the $2.5 to $3 million a carat range. Now, looking at this diamond that is a featured diamond this week, this diamond is exceptional for several reasons. Number one, the size of it. It's over a carat. 95% of green diamonds are extremely small, so this particular diamond is considered very large. It's over 1 carat. It's also a pear shape, which makes this diamond look like it's even larger than a carat. In actual fact, it's so wide and beautiful that it looks closer to 2 carats. Then you've got the color of it. It's fancy, intense green. So the fact is that the only color that's stronger in saturation than the fancy intense is the fancy deep and the fancy vivid. So again, you're talking about a diamond that is very heavily saturated. It's got an amazing cut to it. It is a beautiful size. And again, it's considered one of the rarest diamonds you could ever own because, again, green diamonds are just that rare. Just like blues and just like pinks, and orange diamonds and red diamonds, green is in that category. And we anticipate making a fortune in the green diamond market for my clients and for my company. So, again, whoever ends up with this particular diamond has got something that is beyond rare, and I can pretty well guarantee you that none of your friends own green diamonds. They're just that spectacular.
Speak with Harold. Take the time to call him. He'll explain the ins and outs of the diamond market, the hard asset market. 1-800-432-1022. The call is free. Whatever you talk about and speak about, it is confidential. You can speak with Harold via rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Connect with him or call 1-800-432-1022. You can see our featured Diamond of the Week online, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, and click on Featured Diamond of the Week. And as we've said many times before on the show, one of the things about investing in diamonds, investing in jewelry, when you have a stock certificate, bond certificate, T-bill, obviously real estate would fit into that as well. When you walk in a room, you would look really silly if you had a stock certificate on your finger or around your neck. But the beauty of jewelry, diamonds, They can be mounted and displayed and appreciated on fingers, wrists, ears, or necks of the loved ones that you choose. And they obviously can be unmounted for resale on short notice. And sometimes they fetch a better price unmounted or when they are in a piece of jewelry. It really depends on how it is set up and as well the provenance behind it. But that is the beauty of investing in colored diamonds. They're already the rarest of the rare. But these are something that you walk into a room, you're going to get attention. You're going to be the center of attention. And it's one of those things that a lot of people who invest in naturally fancy colored diamonds, rare colored diamonds, don't really have an appreciation for until they get that diamond for the first time. Maybe they go to a party, they wear their ring or they wear their jewelry, and everyone starts oohing and awing. And Harold, we hear stories of that all the time. People getting attention everywhere they go because of the amazing diamonds that they're wearing.
You bet. Again, most people are not even aware that diamonds come in colors. So when they look at a colored diamond, it's intriguing to them, obviously, and once they find out what it is, well, then they fall in love with them. To see a pink diamond ring or a blue diamond ring or a magnificent yellow and some of the very exotic colors like the orange and the greens and the purples, you're talking the rarest diamonds ever, and very, very, very few of them exist. You know, you're not talking about something that could ever be mass marketed. There's not enough diamonds, colored diamonds in the world to mass market, especially the investment quality ones. Now, even though a diamond is colored, it doesn't mean that it's an investment quality diamond. In fact, some diamonds just are not good quality and not a good combination of color. But when you look at the rarest of all diamonds, red diamonds have been the rarest diamonds until lately. Now it's blue diamonds. Blue diamonds have gone up so much in value that there's almost nothing that compares to them. And now greens are going to start to catch up to those. You've got yellows that are selling at auction for record prices almost every time that there's an auction. And again, you're talking just about outstanding assets. And the way the currency markets are going around the world and negative interest rates and the stock markets and terror attacks and everything going on, the fact is that the world is so frightened about everything, and especially dealing with the banks lately. We touched on that earlier with the negative interest rates and the fact that bail-ins, could be coming to Canada. It's just frightening. And most people in those situations will not know what to do. It is not a smart idea to have your money all invested in paper assets at this point. We've been in the alternative asset business for a long time now, and it's proven that our type of investments do much better than the mainstream. The stock markets have not done well. In fact, very few people in the last decade have made any money on their retirement savings plans at all. In fact, most have lost. The fact is, you put your money in the bank, you're going to get 1%, and soon, again, we could have negative interest rates, means that you're going to have to pay to keep your money in the bank. We could be in a cashless society. We're looking that we've got ISIS that is threatening, all the time type of thing. So we really need to look at alternative assets, different ways to invest that are safer, that are, first of all, going to protect your equity. Capital preservation is foremost and most important, and then capital appreciation. Where that's very difficult for most people, my clients are doing very well. I know it seems odd that why would our clients be doing better than the mainstream? Well, just look at our recommendations. Nobody does what we do. Nobody goes on the radio for the last 16 years and makes predictions on markets, and most of them have come true. It's not that we throw a dart against the wall and hope that we're right. We're right. The fact is that we've said that these markets were going to do what they're doing prior to them doing it. So, again, it's no crystal ball. I've been in the business 35 years, and I think I know the markets better than most. My clients are doing better than most investors out there, and we're not risk takers here. We don't leverage. We don't finance metals. We don't do any of that stuff. We do things properly. And again, my clients are making over 25% a year, and they're making it in U.S. dollars. If that's of interest to you, you need to give me a call so I can explain it to you and show you how you could possibly invest with us. These are all private investments that my company gets involved in that we let our Canadian clients invest with us. Why would we do something like that? Quite simply, when I moved down from Canada over 34 years ago, basically started with nothing. I started in the commodity business as a junior broker, and I had 15 clients. And those 15 clients were all from Canada. And then one day, I made a trade in sugar. And it was an amazing trade, and my clients made a fortune, and I made $600,000 in commission in 1 month. At that point, I left the company, and I started my own brokerage firm. I started with 5 brokers and turned it into the largest brokerage firm in North America with over 250 employees. And during my entire career, as I built my businesses, it was my Canadian clients that believed in me and invested right along with me. And that's why we do what we do today. Sure, I could make more money if I borrowed money from the bank or put up other money, but again, it's my Canadian clients that believed in me and invested with me all these years, and it's payback time. It's time for, in difficult times, for my clients to do well, and that's exactly what's happening now. So if you'd like to learn what we're doing, give us a call. Phone call's free, so is the information, and nobody's going to pressure you. If it's for you, great. We'd love to have you. If it's not, simply take a pass on it.
There was a story, and we have it in our free weekly newsletter, a study in the United States. 1 in 3 Americans haven't saved a dime for retirement. And last week we had that article about around the world pension schemes short $78 trillion. That's how unfunded different pension plans are around the world. $78 trillion. 1 in 3 Americans haven't saved a dime for retirement. The United States is $19 trillion in debt. And with the current budget they have in place, which is pretty much a carte blanche budget, they can spend as what they want. There's talk of it going, before Obama leaves office, up to $21 trillion. They're running deficits of $500 billion. No wonder why you're seeing around the world countries debasing their currency and trying to think of ways to get inflation going. They've printed so much money. There is so much debt. And when you hear about governments thinking about, if as crazy as it sounds, helicopter money, taking a helicopter and just spreading money in the air, or even sending out money free of charge. In fact, they're doing that in Finland, $1,000 a month, and there's actually a pilot program in Ontario where they're doing something similar. You know, things have gone dramatically wrong. And now is the time to be cautious, profit and protect the money that you have for investments, for retirement. If you haven't started saving for retirement yet, now is the time. As Harold has always recommended, pay down your debt. Get rid of your debt and then start putting aside money for your retirement. Our featured diamond of the week from rarecolorediamonds.com is a 1 point, and this is a big diamond, 1+ carat, pear-cut, fancy, intense green diamond. Extremely rare. One of the rarest of the rare worldwide. You can see it online, rarecolorediamonds.com, featured diamond of the week. And I would encourage you to take a look at the video that we have there. We have a picture of it in our free weekly newsletter. Harold, there was a quote from Richard Russell a number of years ago, and I decided to dig it out again in honor of Richard Russell. Richard was in his 90s, and he wrote the Dow Theory letters for over 50 years. He lived in San Diego, California, and he passed away at the end of 2015. He continued to write right up until the time that he passed away, and the fact that he had been through all the markets' ups and downs for 50-plus years, reading what he had to say was so enlightening. And here's a quote that he had towards the end of his life. "If I told you I was to give you a large steel box for your children, and that box was not to be opened for 50 years, would you rather I put $3 million in cash in that box or $3 million in diamonds or gold? Me, I'd pick the diamonds or the gold. Which would you choose? And Harold, what a lot of people would choose, unfortunately, is the cash, not understanding that inflation is the killer, and as well debasement of currencies are the killer, as we saw over in Switzerland when they left the euro peg, went off the euro peg at 120. Suddenly the currency dramatically went in an opposite direction. And for those that were doing business and using the euro, they were dramatically impacted as a result of that. And these are the things that happen with currency manipulation. And as a result, Harold, I think Richard Russell's question is very appropriate in the times that we're living in with bail-ins and negative interest rates. And you have, obviously, cashless society. You want hard assets. It's going to protect you over the long term. We're seeing it in the art market, car market, heck, even watches and handbags are selling for record prices. And Harold, gold, silver, and diamonds, we believe it stood the test of time and will do us well in very chaotic times financially and geopolitically.
You bet, Randy. Again, it's the most confusing and dangerous and volatile of all times. And again, I speak to a lot of clients. I have a lot of clients, and everybody is concerned. Everybody is concerned because they don't know what to do. In Canada, obviously, we have problems with a very low Canadian dollar and a terrible oil market at this point, and that's affecting our clients in Alberta tremendously. And our heart breaks for that because, again, these are things that are totally out of everybody's control. The currency of the country has to do with the way that the government runs the country. And the fact that the Canadian dollar has dropped from being even with the U.S. dollar a few years ago to being 40% lower is a major hardship for everybody, not only, for Canadians themselves, but for businessmen. Because at this particular point, the currency can be the difference between making money and not making money, and staying in business and not staying in business. And look what's happening in the oil business, because, again, so many people are out of work at this point here. Fort McMurray at times is like a ghost town. So, again, if you continue to do things the same way, no matter what the market conditions are, you're not going to get the results that you want. As the market conditions change around the world, you've got to change the way you invest and look at investments. And we've had to do that many times. We've had to reinvent our business several times with changing economic situations worldwide. Fortunately, we're not in stocks and those type of investments. I believe that the alternative asset business is much safer and much more profitable than any other business out there. So, again, if you're not making money at this particular point, you definitely want to get in touch with us, and we'll explain to you what we're doing and see if it's something that would help you also.
And yes, our thoughts are with those in the oil patch. In fact, we have a story in our free weekly newsletter from Zero Hedge this week, a glimpse of things to come. We've seen this in the United States. It's just not Canada. Canadian Oil Company liquidates hours after bank demands repayment. Terra Energy Corporation shut down production, ceased operations, and announced the resignation of directors and officers on Monday after its lender, Canadian Western Bank, demanded full repayment of its debt. And there's a lot of juniors out there in the same position. Read the article. Get our free weekly newsletter from Herald. If you'd like to be on the same page we are, going through the same material that we pass on to you, 1-800-432-1022 to get our free weekly newsletter via email, 1-800-432-1022, and connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Now, our featured diamond of the week, it's a 1+ carat pear-cut fancy intense green diamond, extremely rare, one of a kind worldwide. See it at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. And Harold, we have about 30 seconds left here.
Well, again, the world is a crazy place. We're consumed with what's happening obviously in Brussels and with the U.S. Elections and everything going on. These are very confusing. These are very dangerous times that we're living in. And again, you really need to change the way that you're doing things at this point if it's not working for you. We feel very strongly that the U.S. stock market, even though it will go higher, is a dangerous place to have your money, mutual funds and that type of thing. Stick with alternative assets. Our clients are doing very well. Give us a call and we'll explain what we're doing. I wish everybody a beautiful Easter weekend and a very profitable day.
Thank you, Harold. Connect with Harold, 1-800-432-1022, rarecolorediamonds.com. That's it, another edition of the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall. We will talk to you next week.